Ripple has just released the final news of the long-standing Ripple versus SEC case. So what's next for XRP? WLDFI launches its own new coin, and Solana gets a major win. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when I drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, altcoinbuzz.io, and as always, not financial advice, and wish you the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Alright you guys, so Bitcoin is holding up pretty well actually, and I do think this looks pretty bullish for Bitcoin in the short term at least. I do think we probably, like I said yesterday, drift higher towards $92,000. I think we're going to kind of slowly go up like this, up into the weekend, and then kind of depending on what happens next week with the whole Liberation Day on April 2nd, we'll have to see if we reverse there. But for right now, Bitcoin actually looks pretty good, and altcoins are looking good as well today. So starting off, we have Lark Davis, and he says, Hong Kong ETF issuer says China is actively considering a shift in its Bitcoin and crypto policy. China is coming for your coins, saying this.
Sort of forward push by Hong Kong at the moment, a sign that trading and crypto could return to the mainland, which of course would be a huge boost for the market.
That's an interesting question. You know, Hong Kong is always the gateway to the Chinese mainland market, and Hong Kong is always used as the lab for experiments either in economies or in new industries or new sectors. From what we run regulated exchange, regulated funds in Hong Kong. From our conversations with the regulators, I think in a way they are trying their best to use the one country, two systems as an experiment. If it's successful, I think there is the possibility the mainland China government will reconsider their stance.
Then we have Arkham saying BlackRock is buying. BlackRock just received $100 million in Bitcoin from Coinbase Prime, and they haven't sold anything in the past week, which also coincides with sentiment saying ETFs have taken a positive turn since March 14th, and so has Bitcoin and altcoins. There have now been 7 straight days with more money moving into Bitcoin ETFs, positive inflow, then moving out, negative inflow. This is the first streak of this length in 2025. So we've seen a lot of Bitcoin ETF inflows. We also have Crypto T saying GameStop would just add Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. They have $5 billion sitting in cash being eaten by inflation. 10% inflation means they lose $500 million. This is why people, companies, and countries are running to Bitcoin. So GameStop is going to start buying some Bitcoin with their treasury. It's not going to be the full, $5 billion sitting in cash, but I'm sure they'll kind of try and do something because I know they've been talking with Michael Saylor, trying to do something kind of similar to MicroStrategy, but I'm sure they're not going to go to that, level of scale. Just a lot of companies, any top Fortune 500 company could have Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and GameStop is just one of the more popular ones, especially tied into crypto. Then we also have Crypto RS saying Bitcoin's run-up will be one for the history books. Hope you're ready. And we have this chart here where Bitcoin is, about to break out of this descending trend line. Oh, potentially. If we break above this level, which is around $88,000, if we break above this level and reclaim this level, it does look like a previous pattern where we could then pump from here. And then moving on, we have World Liberty Finance, and they said, meet USD1, the stablecoin your portfolio has been waiting for. Built for institutions and retail alike, backed by dollars, custodied by BitGo, no games, no gimmicks, just real stability. So World Liberty Finance has launched their own stablecoin. This is actually before the stablecoin regulation has even come out, which is kind of crazy, which we're going to get to in a second. But Crypto Notaz says, what does the launch of USD1 really mean? World Liberty Finance is not just another stablecoin, it's a statement of intent about the future of finance. First, USD1 is launched by World Liberty Finance and is 100% backed by US government short-term bonds, USD deposits, and cash equivalents. Real stability, tangible backing, no smoke and mirrors. But what really sets it apart is who's securing that backing. BitGo, one of the most trusted custodians in both the crypto and traditional financial worlds. Regulated custody plus insurance plus institutional liquidity equals total trust. While other stablecoins chase yield through shady mechanisms, USD1 prioritizes transparency, security, and institutional adoption. No tricks, no unnecessary risks. USD1 will be minted on Ethereum and BSC with third-party audits and support from BitGo Prime for institutional trading. Yes, it's designed for governments, banks, and funds, but it also opens the door for DeFi users who demand stability. So that's USD1, but we also have Bloomberg talking about Trump and the whole stablecoin thing with stablecoin legislation not even out yet. They said this.
I think it's fair to ask, how unusual is it to see Congress passing legislation or on the brink of passing legislation at the same time that the president has a business venture tied to benefiting from that legislation?
Well, it's very unusual, but I think it's more par for the course these days with the Trump administration. And I think what is happening here at the moment is the Trump administration is preparing for this bill to pass. So this bill is currently going through the Senate. It passed the Senate Banking Committee 18-6. I did a vote count right before I came on the air. And I think this does get the 60 votes it needs in the Senate and overcomes any potential filibuster. Now, I think this bill will pass sometime between May and July. And what it does is it sets up stablecoin issuers to be regulated either by the feds or by the state authorities and requires them to have 100% high quality liquid assets. But most importantly, it brings regulatory clarity and loosens up enforcement risk so that these issuers and these tokens can then operate in the United States going forward.
And then we have the final piece of the SEC versus Ripple saga. And so the SEC and Ripple have agreed to drop their remaining appeals, with Ripple recovering $75 million from escrow and the SEC keeping $50 million, marking a likely final resolution to the long-running case. So if you remember, there was $125 million still in escrow, which Brad Garlinghouse said they were going to try and appeal to get some of it back or all of it back with the new SEC. So they're kind of going back and forth debating if they're going to do that. We also have the chief legal officer of Ripple, Stuart Alderati, saying the final crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's, and what should be my last update on the SEC versus Ripple ever. Last week, the SEC agreed to drop its appeal without conditions. Ripple has now agreed to drop its cross appeal. The SEC will keep $50 million of the $125 million fine, with the balance returned to Ripple. The agency will also ask the court to lift the standard injunction that was imposed earlier at the SEC's request, all subject to commission vote, drafting of final documents, and usual court processes. That's all, folks. So finally, after 5 years, the Ripple versus SEC case is finally over, which is huge. And that just means, we can finally move on and we can actually see a pump in Ripple. And we haven't had that yet. We're just kind of floating here. I think Ripple, like the rest of the market, is just kind of, waiting to see what happens. This is really good news for Ripple, but we've kind of gotten these pieces of information over the course of the past couple of months. So Ripple, it doesn't look terrible here. We are holding above this major level of support between $2.22 and around $2.30. So the fact that we're holding above here is good. I do think, we probably go higher. I do think it's kind of like one of those level reclaims. We're starting to make higher lows. So I do think we probably head back towards this level, at least around $2.72 in the near future. If we can reclaim that level, then great. We're heading back up towards at least this level of resistance around $3. I do think XRP heads towards $3, sooner than later. And I do think it's probably going to be one. We're going to see a lot more news about XRP as, more news comes out now that the whole SEC investigation is over. I do think we're going to start seeing a lot more, good news, a lot more partnerships, a lot of these kind of things that everyone's been waiting for that final clarity to happen. I do think we'll finally see, a lot more positive things coming out for Ripple now that this is over. The market has gone crazy over the last 30 days, with 2 huge liquidation days of over $1 billion and a pump and dump over the weekend. But some coins like SUI have weathered the storm and are still a great investment opportunity today. SUI is quickly becoming one of the leading altcoins in the market, so let's check out why. SUI is killing it in all the big sectors it supports, like DeFi, where SUI crossed $1 billion in TVL and is almost at $1.5 billion in record time. SUI's liquidity aggregator DeepBook launched its Deep token in October and is holding up well in tough market conditions. Walrus is changing the game in decentralized data storage, and its token launch is coming soon. And Solana builders are building on SUI now, with integrations like Phantom and Backpack. SUI even has a small but growing meme coin market for meme coin lovers. If you haven't used SUI lately, then come give it a try, and follow SUI's X account for all their latest updates. Then we also have Robbie Ferguson of Immutable X, and he says the SEC has now officially dropped its inquiry into Immutable X with no enforcement action to be taken. This is an enormous win for Web3 gaming. After a year of fighting, this threat of digital ownership rights has finally been put to rest. We're excited to build. And Blockchain Bulletin says the SEC closes its probe on Immutable X with no action taken. Following the news, IMX has surged 15%, reaching 74 cents, its highest price since March 3rd. Over the past 7 days, IMX is up 20%, reflecting renewed investor confidence. So IMX is at a $1.2 billion market cap, which is kind of crazy. 1.3 billion fully diluted. But it is kind of the infrastructure behind all of crypto gaming, even though crypto gaming hasn't had much of a run this cycle. But we're kind of already starting to retrace this. We don't want to see it retrace the pump candle, which was yesterday's candle around 62 cents. If it comes back below here, that is not ideal. We don't really want, you could even say 57 cents, but really we don't want to retrace this breakout candle here. If we come back down here, it's looking a lot less good. And you probably want to, close any positions or don't buy it there. But likewise, if we do hold above this level here, that's where I'd want to be interested if you wanted to get an IMX, somewhere around 79.5 cents. That's where I'd be a lot more bullish on IMX. But there's probably a lot better coins to be, buying right now that are pumping a lot harder. So that's IMX. Then lastly, we have Securitize, and they actually said BUIDL is now on Solana. So following the 1-year anniversary of BUIDL's launch, BlackRock and Securitize are expanding access with a new share class on the Solana network. The milestone marks an important step in the continued institutional adoption of tokenized real-world assets. Why Solana? Solana's high throughput, low cost, and scalability make it an ideal blockchain to support institutional-grade RWAs. By expanding to Solana, BUIDL is now more accessible to a broader range of investors and applications. Now, if you guys don't remember, BUIDL is the largest tokenized treasury fund, and as of today, tokenized treasuries hit an all-time high of $5 billion, with BUIDL surpassing $1.7 billion in assets under management, reinforcing its position as the world's largest tokenized treasury fund. With this expansion into Solana, BUIDL continues to set the standard for regulated institutional-grade financial products on-chain. So BlackRock, Securitize, huge names in traditional finance, coming onto what was Ethereum and their BUIDL fund, now on Solana, which is huge for Solana as well. And Solana is one of the coins that's still looking great. We didn't get that retest like I wanted yesterday. We didn't come back down to this level of around $135 to 136. We unfortunately didn't come down to this level. We could still today, and I'd still be pretty bullish and be wanting to pick it up if we came down here. But we're pretty much coming into this next level of resistance where I do think if we come above here, we're going to blast through towards $170 pretty quickly. There's nothing here. There's nothing stopping it. There's no resistance. So I do think we'll come back up here pretty quickly, and that is something that I do want to be buying. So I'm looking for active positions in Solana, whether it's coming above here, and I have to buy here at 148, or if we can come down here today at New York Open around 135, I would like to pick it up there as well. Either of those, I do want to get into Solana. I do want to long Solana because it's one of the positions that's looking, it's one of the coins that's looking better in terms of positioning in the market right now. But yeah, that's pretty much the video for today. A quick one, as Bitcoin is just hovering around $87,000. I do think we head higher this New York Open. We're kind of consolidating here. As long as this doesn't fully roll over, I do think it's going to be one of the cases where we have kind of these higher lows being built, and I do think we're going to kind of do one of these where we have a breakout. Maybe this session, maybe tomorrow's New York Open session. I do think we head towards this high, something like that. So that is Bitcoin, and that is the crypto market for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.